Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. This is a journey we're taking about spiritual warfare. There's a war going on in the heavenly realm around us. It's a fight between good and evil and Satan and God, and it's an intriguing story, man. And with that war going on, we are the reason for the war. That God loves us, Satan hates us, and there's a war between them over you and over me. So it's really important that we get to understand our role in this particular war. Now, in the book of Joshua, we have Joshua being promised that he will take the Israelites across the Jordan River into the place that was called the Promised Land. This was Canaan, and it was everything. It was the land flowing with milk and honey. The only problem with the land flowing with milk and honey and the Promised Land was that there were giants that lived in the lands. There were enemies that lived there. So this was not like they were walking into, some people think that the other side of Jordan is a picture of heaven. It's not at all. The journey up to the Jordan River was through the wilderness of testing and trial, and then you cross over into the Jordan to the land of the real Christian experience. Heaven is still to come. But the Promised Land is a place that needs to be taken. And Joshua was told by Moses and by God that you need to go in there and take the land. He said, everywhere your foot will go, I will give it to you. If your foot doesn't go there, you're not going to get that piece of land. And so the challenge for Joshua and Joshua to the children of Israel, this is going to be a war. This is going to be a fight. We're coming up against some really strong enemies. We're coming up against people who don't think like that, who worship other gods. This is going to be tough stuff. Isn't that a great picture of the Christian experience? We think when we become Christians, hey man, hunky-dory, everything's going to be fine. Only to find we have a war on our hands. And there are many enemies that are not physical, but certainly they are spiritual. And so Joshua goes into the land knowing full well what he's up against. I've got to tell you, people, you need to know the same. When you go into the Christian experience, you must know that there are battles to be fought. Battles against our human nature. Battles against selfishness and pride and all of those issues that plague us. And God says those are the enemies that you, the children of God, and in your Promised Land experience on the Jordan side of the river, you're going to fight those battles. Now, there were many that they fought, and they won. But the tragedy was, by the end of the book of Joshua, they had done well, and they had found enough land to be settled, but it was intriguing that they didn't get rid of all the enemies. And so if you read the scriptures, you will see by the end of the book of Joshua, they'd done a good job so far. Many of the enemies had run, been destroyed and wiped out, but there were some that were left behind, and they were forever a pain in the butt of Joshua and the children of Israel. Let me tell you how many people there. I'll just read a little bit to you. As you go into the book of Judges, you read about the nations that were never taken. Judges chapter 1. But Manasseh did not drive out the people of Beth Shan. Israel became strong. They pressed the Canaanites into forced labor, but they never drove them out completely. Nor did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites living in Gezer. Zebulun did not drive out the Canaanites living in Kitron. Nor did Asher drive out those living in Achor. Nor did Naphtali drive out those living in Beth Shemesh. And so on and on the list goes, that they didn't drive out all of the enemies. Let me tell people, God will never be satisfied, and neither will you, by the way, unless you drive out all the enemies in your life. You need to name them. They name them. You need to know who the enemy are, whether it be greed, lust, selfishness, ambition, wrong vision. It might be selfish motives. It could be anything. And God is saying to us today, you know yourself better than anybody else other than God. Name the enemy and go after it. And deal with those things that hold you back in your Christian experience. And that's what this is all about. I'm so glad this book is written with that in mind, because this Old Testament story is a picture of our New Testament lives. The battle that we now fight is not a battle in the physical realm. It's a battle in the spiritual realm, and your mind is the battlefield. And so when we declare war on the things that are going on in our heads, when we declare war on the things that we know are not pleasing to God, we enter into a battle environment. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. I want to talk to you a little bit about that these coming days. Stay with me, because we're going to get quite specific over the course of tomorrow and of next week. But thanks for joining me. Remember, the battlefield is in your mind. Get rid of every enemy and you'll be free. It's possible to do that. I hope you'll join with me. Bye.